Okay, so thank you for giving me the floor, but I think we should wait a while for our next guest, because Gabriel is one of our panelists. Misha Jurkovic from Serbia is available right now online via MS Teams. Hello, Misha. So do you hear me? Do you see me?
Everything okay, perfect. Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry, Misha. It's a great pleasure to have you here. And Professor Grosser will be our panelist as well, and Professor Zbigniew Krysiak. Or not? No, I have to. Yes, Professor Krysiak. So we have to. Okay, so guys, please take a seat here, and I think we can start. We can start to talk about a possible future for our region. I mean, the Central and Eastern Europe. And okay, so Professor Krysiak, Professor Grosser, so.
Nie, ja w to sobie.
Okay, perfect. So absolutely we can start right now. So, and the main topic and the main aim of our current panel is to discuss some possible new form of international cooperation in Central and Eastern Europe. In fact, that's a kind of tradition of the Schuman Trimarium Forum conferences, and I remember one panel 2 years ago, that was at the first conference in Kasiczyn. The conference took place in Kasiczyn, and I remember Professor Grosser was one of the panelists as well, and Professor Krysiak too, I think. And I remember my question to the panelists, and I asked what do you think, guys, about a new international organization in Central Europe. Maybe we should have such a new form of international cooperation, why not? And that was the very beginning of the whole discussion in our small community. And after that we continued that topic after the first conference. And 1 year ago in Kasiczyn as well, our vision of the future of our region was clear. Our goals and our project was obvious for all of us. And today we'd like to continue the topic, and why our today's panel is so important, because I can say that today on Monday this week a new non-governmental organization was established in Poland. The name of that NGO is Schuman Trimarium Forum. So the name of the organization is the same as the name of the whole conference, and the Schuman Trimarium Forum Foundation was established by Professor Krysiak, by Mr. Tomasz Pysiak, by Mr. Włodzimierz Osowski, by me. And Ryszard Szyszkowski. Okay, sorry, Ryszard, I forgotten your important role in the whole project. Few months ago we have decided to establish a separate institution that will aim to promote the vision of stronger cooperation in Central and Eastern Europe. And one of our formal goals, indicated in our statute, is to promote a vision of new international regional organization similar to Nordic Council or similar to Benelux Union, And that's why today we devote a separate panel for that topic. And my first question to all of our panelists is as follows. So, what do you think about such a concept? Do you agree or don't? I'm very interested in learning your opinion. Maybe what I can add, what can I add to that topic? So, in Central Europe, after the fall of communism, we have experienced a lot of very fruitful and very promising international political actions. I can say political actions, because, for instance, Free Seas Initiative. We all know that project. Free Seas Initiative has no formal and legal framework. That's just a political agreement, important political agreement, quite stable agreement, but that's just an informal political action. Free Seas Initiative has no formal bodies, has no formal institutions. Free Seas Initiative hasn't been established on a separate international agreement. The same story, or very similar story, applies to the Visegrad Group as well. So Visegrad Group is in a better position, because Visegrad Group has one formal institution, that is International Visegrad Fund. But apart from having international fund, Visegrad Group is also a political action conducted from time to time. The story, the whole history of the Visegrad Group is quite complicated. There were different phases, there were different periods of that cooperation. But that's not an international organization in a very legal sense. So I think that we live in such a time when we can and we should think about something new in our region. Why? Because we want to be better integrated. We want to be better prepared for current global challenges. And I think, in my opinion, if Free Seas Initiative has no legal framework, has no international bodies, if not, the Free Seas will fail very soon. I'm afraid of such scenario. So that's my short introduction, and as I told you, I'm very curious. What do you think? What do you think about it? So maybe Professor Tomasz Grosse, if I may ask you about your opinion.
Thank you very much for having me on this panel. It is, of course, very interesting subject and important for regional cooperation in our part of Europe. It is basically weak infrastructure, political infrastructure for collaboration among states from that part of Europe, described by you at the beginning of that panel. And we have at least 2 or 3 scenarios or patterns to change that situation. The first one is involve deeper in contemporary structures of collaboration in Visegrad Group as well as Three Seas Initiative. I would add to your introductory remarks that Three Seas Initiative has also own fund similar to Visegrad fund, but of course still it is maybe a very weak instrument in terms of amount of money and for sure it is very small in comparison to or in relation to ambitious tasks which are set for Three Seas Initiative. We had very interesting presentation at the first day of our conference. Miss Ambassador presented a very important framework for Three Seas Initiative collaboration in at least three fields, including infrastructure, related to communication, digital, and energy. So it is quite ambitious, very costly perspective of collaboration. All funds are very limited, and in fact, it is very important on current stage of affairs is to deepen collaboration among member states included or belong to Three Seas Initiative to exert more pressure on EU institutions to have more funds which could be directed to our purposes. So it is like a lobby collaboration which is strongly dependent on EU funds, but of course it is some opportunity still to collaborate in that way, to have some more money to implement ambitious tasks. But of course it is as well as weakness, because there are very limited on funds generated by the Three Seas Initiative member states. So, but still, the first pattern is to deepen collaboration, and the prospect for such collaboration is huge in my view. Another scenario is related to the project that you mentioned, namely establishment of new framework, new organization, which could be more solid than the previous ones. But of course it is also very risky prospect, because we have no security that the next organization would be more solid than previous ones. But of course it has some possibility. The most important from my perspective, is to have political will to achieve some political decision among various governments, member states, that such institution is really strong and institutionalized collaboration among our countries is very important. Nowadays it is for me obvious that we don't want to abolish current European Union. We try to collaborate inside the EU. We want to focus on our needs, on our problems, and in any way we don't want to challenge the EU as an international organization. We want rather to establish some framework to lobby for in the EU for our interests, common interests, to gather new funds, etc., etc. But of course, it was discussed in previous days at that conference. Also, such a scenario that if the EU in current shape would be destroyed or disintegrate simply, for us it is also a chance and need to sustain regional collaboration, because we have so many common interests that it is for us very important priority. In my last sentence, I would like to add that the huge challenge for any sort of collaboration, institutionalized stronger or weaker, is, I would say, to some extent, democracy. Because we can see, we can observe that governments in our region, as in other parts of Europe, are changing. And that is a problem for regional collaboration. So we have no political culture, like for instance in Nordic or Benelux or states or between France and Germany, that without political differences, except of political differences including changing governments, our priority is collaboration, because it is the most important above of political differences or some differences among political factions. So it is a huge challenge for us how to survive some changes in government. For instance, current Polish government dissolved institute devoted to Polish and Hungarian collaboration, which was a political decision against former government, conservative government. But in my view, it is much more important to build solid institutions which are persistent on that political changes like recent reports. So it is a huge challenge and huge discussion how to omit this kind of risks and how to establish institution which could be stronger than political changes in particular countries.
Okay, so thank you very much for your extended opinion, and I fully agree with you that our vision of the region is a challenging fact. There's a huge challenge to have such a political will and to omit all the risk, you know, connected with our project. Of course, that's a huge problem. I'm fully aware of that, and I know that our aim, our goals is not an easy task. But maybe what can I say? I would say that you know, we almost all of us are scientists, and you know, we think about a conceptual and theoretical vision of such a project. You know, we are not politicians. We aren't politicians. You know, but we are scientists, and I think, in my opinion, you know, one of the goal of scientific activity is to promote such theoretical concept. And after that, you know, main political actors, politicians, you know, will be able to think about it, will be able to discuss it, will be able to take into account in their political life. They will be better prepared to discuss such concepts. So I see our role. And you know, from the scientific perspective, I think it is enough. At the current state of the debate, it's enough, I think. Okay, so maybe if I may, I would like to address the same question to our Serbian guest, Misha Djurkovic from Serbia, our great friend. I know that Misha wanted to join us here, but unfortunately, because of the very tight schedule of Misha, Misha wasn't able to come to Zamość. But Misha, you are from Serbia, so you are from the country that is not a member of the European Union, and maybe because, you know, if we are talking about a new intergovernmental organization in our region, of course we think about the organization that will be open, that will be accessible, that will be available, and not only for the European Union members. So as we all know, Free Seas Initiative gathers only these countries that belongs to the European Union as well. But in our vision, according to our vision, you know, new Tri-Marium organization will be available for all countries in our region. Not only the project is not addressed only to the European Union members. So maybe for your country, Misha, such product might be attractive, might be promising. What do you think about it?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Dzień dobry again, and first of all, thank you all for inviting me, Philip and Tomasz and Professor Fischak and all of you who have started this very noble and I think very important framework, let me say, for the time being, and hopefully even institutional framework within the possible future. So first of all, I apologize for not being able, as you said, I just returned from Dubrovnik a couple of days ago where we had some regional very good conference, and already today we are having a guest, Professor Kalis is coming, and I have to be his host in the next couple of days. So unfortunately, I'm not with you there. And I hope maybe next year to be physically able to join you and to meet colleagues personally. But I'm happy that I can be with you virtually, if I could say, in this digital cooperation, if I may joke a little bit. And on the other hand, I'm fully with you with idea and with emphasizing the importance of initiative. First thing which I'd like to stress out is, of course, as you said, we are academician. We are people coming as, let me say, from the non-governmental sphere or in a vast, in a wider sense. But then again, I can testify you about many interesting initiatives that we had in the region, which eventually never succeeded to give us anything because they were not institutionalized. So, for example, I saw that there are also the flags of Bulgaria, Romania, and we have one of those initiatives, I mean, Bulgaria, Romania, Greece, and Serbia. And I think that only a couple of academic things happened, and within very short amount of time, people forgot that there used to be this noble initiative. So, my first, if I could say, note is that we should be working to push for institutionalization of this framework, and I think that the best way is really the Visegrad Group, which is really functioning and de facto the core of our, I could say, political, geopolitical, but in many sense even academical and value-based, the core should be working slowly to expand this framework to all the countries that are depicted in your initial presentation, which are so and which are happen to be a possible part of the Trimarium initiative. So what I wanted to add a little bit from my point of view and why this is important for Serbia. Well, Serbia and Serbian people generally, because we have now 2 million of Serbs living outside of the border of Serbia, is still having very, if I could say, mixed identity in the cultural sense. We are Balkans, above all, in many ways, but we are also Mediterranean country or people in a way. But I'm more than happy that in the last years, our Central European and in a broader sense Eastern Central European identity is getting stronger and stronger importance for our public understanding, for our security understanding, and more value-based approach. In that sense, we are especially developing very strong collaboration with Hungary here and with our Hungarian colleagues. That we are more than open and more than interested to expand that to the whole Visegrad Group, and of course with all the countries that should be belonging to Trimarium initiative. I think that there are a lot of things that are connecting us and a lot of things that are really emphasizing our common interest in coming out as one body, or let me say value-based in a broader sense initiative that can speak in these very turbulent times in which as we all know, we are unfortunately having a war very close to Zamość, where we happen to be at this moment. Then Middle East is really on the verge of exploding at this moment, and nobody knows what might really happen in the very close future. So in that sense, I think that, of course, we are starting as an academician, but generally, possibility that this could turn into some common political lobby group within EU, but within other general frameworks would be very, very important for us in many possible senses. So I will give just a couple of examples that probably some of the colleagues already addressed there, but I will speak from our perspective. This is, of course, the issue of energy. Not only because of the problems that Slovakia, for example, have because of the war in Ukraine nowadays, but it is affecting all of us definitely. And we know that this is really big and touchy issue. What should be the sources of the energy that we are using nowadays? So I think that first very good, important framework should be exactly Intermarium initiative, in which we could speak about that and make some realistic, sustainable decision about how to organize it, if possible, or at least to work on approaching our common perspective on those issues. That's one of very big things. Another, of course, is immigration issues. I don't have to tell you, you are now hosting millions of unfortunate people that are coming, especially ladies with the children, which is really in many ways affecting all the countries. And I think that not only lobbying in EU for some common projects and common means that should be encouraged, but I think that we should work all on common experience with that, because we also in Serbia have several 100,000 of people that are de facto evacuated as immigrants, as refugees from Ukraine, and anti-war orientated immigrants from Russia, for example. So it really affected very much the whole public environment. We are all forced to start to think about address educational issues for those kids and so on and so on, and just popping several of the problems or issues that we are facing together nowadays, and that we would need maybe more serious, more common and more consecutive meetings to address all those issues. So another issue is, of course, education. Which I'm combining with a very big issue, just to mention about Istanbul Convention and everything that it had how it affected our laws and many of our things. And I was working on that for the last couple of years, and you could really see that somehow this is maybe the whole issue about the ratification of Istanbul Convention was maybe something that mostly divided so-called Western or the old Europe from the new or Eastern Europe. In many ways, you could see that all the countries in Eastern Europe, Central and Eastern Europe, were having very strong opposition toward ideological issues that are imposed on us from the Brussels with the Istanbul Convention, because, as you all know, we have this experience with different levels of, now we could call that soft communism, that is directly affecting our tradition, our values, and finally our Christianity, which is today more important for our bloc. Even I can tell for our liberals. Liberals in the Eastern and Central Europe are much less radical than people, other people in the Western Europe. So, for example, those issues like Istanbul Convention and common experience with refusing that would be very important basis for the further collaboration in juridical issues, academic issues, and even in political fora, if I could say. Finally, issue of the family, which is becoming more and more important for all of us in defense of the traditional family, is also one of the aspects in which we could collaborate, especially where Serbia sees very big interest for the formats like Intermarium. Of course, security issue, which I started already, infrastructure, even sport, we could mention. There are many issues in which we see ourselves much more in common with Eastern Central Europe than, of course, with Western Europe, and especially, as you mentioned, the whole so-called Western Balkans probably will not be joining EU within the next 10 years. I mean, we are already in the process for some of the countries already for 33, 34 years in the process of European integration. And we started already a little bit joking that we will be admitted into EU maybe directly after Turkey. As you all know, Turkey will probably never be a member of EU, so people lost faith very much in EU generally as a forum, and now all our countries are de facto developing themselves and trying to develop their strategies for the further economic, political, geopolitical, and especially political orientation, not really taking seriously in account EU, and nobody knows what might happen in the future. So in that sense, you are absolutely right. I think that we are having much bigger interest into these kind of the countries which are having the same experience and the same understanding of the world than, for example, Brussels or many of the actors that are functioning there. Finally, one more issue that I would like to address. Christianity and the issue of Christianity is very important for all of us, much more than it is for Western Europe. As you all know, we are now in the process of censuses which are showing that for the first time in the countries like France or, I don't know, even Italy and so on, less than half of the population is defining itself as a Christian. Not to speak that even practicing Christian are much smaller number than it is shown. This is not the case with our countries. Christianity is very important for us, and I would like to address that interfaith or inter-Christian dialogue between Catholics, Orthodox people, and Lutherans and different Protestant denomination is very important. Non-existent actually at this moment, and I will give you one very good example in which we show how it can contribute with very good results. For example, in Latvia, in 2017-18, Catholic bishop, our friend was leading public fight against the ratification together and with the strong support of Lutheran and Orthodox Church. And actually, unfortunately, in the meantime, they still succeeded to pass it, but they let me say, all three confessions at that time succeeded to make very strong public pressure and to prevent politicians, at least for some time, to ratify and to implement Istanbul Convention. I think this is a very good example in which interreligious dialogue and cooperation could contribute to all of us.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, great speech, Misha. So congratulations and thank you very much, and thank you very much for indicating so many things we have in common in our region. You've mentioned energy, education, family, Christianity. All of these topics are extremely important for our nations, for our countries, and that might be a common ground, a common basis for our region. You know, another argument for having a new institution, grouping and gathering countries of Central and Eastern Europe, and why your remarks are so important. Because we know that Free Seas initiative is concentrated on some economic and infrastructural issues, mainly on infrastructure, communication, and so on. Of course, all of these goals are important. I have no doubt in this matter. But new organization will allow us to extend, the fields of cooperation in the region. So it will be a great opportunity to do that. I think that might be another advantage of new organization. But during your speech, I saw that Professor Krysiak was going to give a feedback, I suppose, to what you have said. So maybe Professor Krysiak now, and after that our friend from Slovakia.
Professor Jurkovic, thank you for your speech. I'm just not going to comment your speech. Robert Schuman was thinking about the entire Europe. So the European Union is not the entire Europe. Robert Schuman wanted to, and wants still, he's alive. He's not on this globe, but he's in heaven, but he's alive. He wants the community of European nations. And Serbia and many other countries belong to Europe. Today, Professor Margaret Frittenburg said, we need to come back to the Schuman Europe, to his model. So, Schuman Primarium Forum, this institution which was established, which was mentioned by Dr. Lupi. Let me explain the name. Schuman is a bridge. So we think about the entire Europe as a whole, as a community of European nations. So Schuman is a bridge. This bridge is between West and East. Without that bridge, we are not able to develop, to improve his ideas. We know European Union itself is in troubles. So this idea, Schuman himself said, will not become mature at once. Slowly, he said, slowly, step by step. It should go through the spiritual relationship. Relationship, he said. And it may take 100 or 200 years. He was against to speed up, because the human being are not the machines, are not the computers. So we face now the development, how this development of this idea to approach the community of European nations can happen. On which way? So for sure the European Union is not that what Schuman wanted. But we can say the European Union brought many positive things, but currently is heading into the wrong direction. So if Schuman would be in that room today, he would say, hey guys, we need to correct that. This means development, because we as a people being engaged in different projects, being engaged in our communities, our families, we know that from time to time we just change the direction to the wrong direction. So we need to adjust that. So the Schuman Primarium Forum, this organization, as I said, the first part of this name, Schuman, bridge. So this is this organization is just thinking about the entire Europe, because the Schuman is a bridge. Primarium, the bridge from west, because Schuman is coming from west, to the west, to the east. This bridge from west to east, to the Trimarium. The east is very wide, big area. The common history of the East, Central Europe, the common faith, the common, to some certain extent, different religions, long experience in the so-called, the kind of a union, Polish-Lithuanian, but this union, there was 200-300 years And within that area there were many nations, many cultures. So we have longer experience compared to the European Union than so. And we can say we are all the brothers of these guys of the West. We are all the brothers. And we say, look, we like Schumann. He came from Western, but he liked him. So it means we like you, people from Western, we like you. This is a Christian and a Catholic message. So we go, like John Paul II said, we would like to go in the mentality of the Christians. We like you, doesn't matter who you are today. If you are lost, if you make many mistakes, we are as well not ideal people. We are as well in this region not ideal. There were wars on Balkans. But we indicated that name Schumann is going to unite us, to bring us, Professor Margit said, peace. Unity, solidarity, and peace. This is an implication, mathematical implication. Without unity, we are not be able to obtain solidarity. Solidarity is a more material issue, sharing the different assets. And without solidarity, we are not able to obtain the peace. So if we are not solidar, this is a warning sign. So if there is not solidarity, we can expect the war will arrive. So come back to the unity, to unite. So the Schumann is, his idea, his model is that which is going to unite, to bring the solidarity and peace. So the bridge to the Trimarium and the Forum. The Forum, we mean entire Europe. Therefore, thank you, Mr. Dr. Jurkovic, what you said, that the path to create a community of European nations probably is not going through this approach, which many people think, just to attract new members of the European Union. Because, as you said, Serbia probably will not join over the next 10 or 15 years. So there is a question, in which way we can obtain the community of European nations? Because this is most important than just follow the model which is currently assumed by the European Union, that if you are okay, if we like you, we invite you as a member. But if we don't like you and you follow not that what we want, stay back. I'm sure if today Schumann would be raising a voice today, he would say, yes, Professor Christian, you're right. The more wider perspective and thinking is just to see how to obtain the community of European nations. So the European Union is a kind of some step in that process. Some step that it doesn't mean it should go to the end in that model, in that way. So, Freeze's initiative. As the word itself is saying, initiative, to initiate something. To initiate. So Freeze's initiated some process, but it doesn't mean this model is that which is finished. This is not finished. This was the initiation, 10 years of this initiation. And the conclusion of many smart people, and as well the Excellency president, the ambassador said that we need institutions. We need institutions for what? To make more efficient this process. Not permanent institutions, but institutions which will help to develop this direction to the community of European nations. So remember, do not assume that the model of European Union, by attracting new members, this is the best one. This is important. This is some important step. There is a many positive things. But do not assume this is the way should be processed up to an end. And for sure, the Schuman didn't want to have a big state or super state. He wanted to have a community of European nations. So therefore, as the Freezes initiative initiated, we think that now is a time for to act, to create some institution which will just basically help to develop. Like Schuman, attracted many people of a goodwill. So the people of a goodwill are not, they do not exist only in Netherlands or Germany or France. The people of a goodwill are everywhere. They are in Serbia, they are in Bulgaria, they are everywhere. So we need to attract these people of a goodwill so that to increase the quality of the development of that community, of the entire Europe, in fact. I just wanted to explain what is behind. This ties back very much indeed to that what basically Schuman wanted to do, and this is kind of as well suggestion. It's not a kind of a mature and permanent proposal. This is kind of a phase which is going, to improve the development, speed up development, and probably after a few years we notice that we need to adjust something, to change, to add something. So exactly like Schuman worked, he never thought that the in Europe we should have in Brussels the permanent institution. Schuman said this institution should be just for a time when their function are explored. He never just assumed that this institution should be like an institution in the state. So this is a very important, understanding what is behind that approach and direction. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Professor Krysiak. And first of all, thank you very much for underlining the role and the position of Robert Schuman in our concept. We are fully aware that we need to have a patron, someone who inspired us, and someone who is able to inspire other people. And Professor Krysiak, I fully agree with you that Robert Schuman is a perfect patron. It's a perfect patron for our initiative. So and I think that Robert Schuman is so universal thinker, I can say, universal thinker. Universal for the whole Europe, not only for Europe, but for the whole world, for all people of goodwill. So exactly, Robert Schuman is our patron, and we do our best to convince you to to have Robert Schuman as your partner, even in your private life. Okay, and we have 10-15 minutes, I think, because we begin. When did we begin our panel? 4:10, 4:15. So we were delayed. So I think 10-15 minutes for you, for our friend from Slovakia. So what do you think about our concept, about our theoretical framework? Is it attractive for you?
Okay, maybe I will be not connected to this one project, but I will explain why. I will try to be short, but we cannot start with the second step, with this project, before, after the, or let's say, without the understanding of previous one, 3Cs initiative itself. I don't want to be a Slovako-centrist, let's say, but we are in the middle of the Europe, let's say, geographically, so I will pick it up this right, let's say, for me. And I will explain what is going on. Very shortly, Slovakia's perspective was not always clear-cut, let's say so. Today we have, let's say, leftist, oriented government with Robert Fico again, with Hlas and Slovak National Party. And if I check the, let's say, how this government written the statement about the initiative, 3C initiative, you will not see or find out any statement, official, let's say political one, in this document for period 23 till 27, if something will not happen. Yeah, so for 4 years long government. And there is only one statement that the realization of the Solidarity Ring and East Ring project seems realistic. We know that these two projects are some of 7 or 8 projects which have been proposed by Slovakia in 3Cs initiative. Including them, we have also PW Energy, geothermal power plant, which is in Žiarna, should be in Žiarna, Hronom, and also in Prešov, where I'm coming from. What I wanted to say that Slovakia's politicians are afraid and are still afraid about the initiative itself, just because, and I don't want to describe because probably you know, because of political aspirations of Poland. Yeah, this is the skeptical point of view of them. The second problem was identified, or I see that in public discussion, public discourse, or also scientific, it's missing this topic. 3Cs initiative itself doesn't matter if the first one or this second, let's say so, is missing. Just because, I don't know, maybe it's not, let's say, long running, long term, perspective. Anyway, you mentioned that it is initiative, and it's a good point because this is a future project oriented, let's say so, because it's oriented to energy, to infrastructure, and digitalization mainly. And let's say another part is, let's say, idealistic one. Not only, but idealistic because of Schuman, because of etc. So I think that we should, let's say, the synergic aspect. Together countries, but together also idealistic with realistic version, because this first one is, let's say, hard skill, or let's say hard oriented. Because we need this infrastructure. We can talk together without these cables. Yeah? So these projects are also oriented, for example, for building data centers, for securitization of data centers, for making this more secure because of threat of Russia, for example, attacking hackers, etc. We were talking together on the dinner, with colleague from Lithuania. Based on that, Slovakia position was that the government, or let's say Slovakia itself, and private sector, or let's say these people who wanted to be involved in this project, are oriented maybe on smaller one, because maybe of risks, I'm not sure. But these projects are also very expensive, like PW Energy, which already will help to people around Prešov, and we have sources. You know, European Union now starting batteries, Green Deal, etc., etc. Your opinions we can make a dispute, but geothermal energy is cheap. Let's say so. Okay, excluding how expensive is this technology, know-how, how to build it. Yeah, it takes a lot of money. But what I wanted to express is that afraid, or let's say, we will not go to this initiative or just break, and political aspirations. So we are going from somewhere behind, yeah. And also summits have been not in Slovakia, in these countries, presidential summits, in countries which have been the key players. Let's say move, yeah. So we will organize it, and Slovakia in the background. Let's say so. So skeptical maybe view. Conclusion, you mentioned fund, yeah, and Visegrad Fund, Visegrad Group. Visegrad fulfilled the, let's say, the idea itself some years ago, because we entered the European Union already, but politicians also had, not only them, had the question, okay, it will terminate or we will continue, but for what? Yeah, coordination, communication, for example, training of soldiers, whatever. Yeah, we have floods here, yeah, in Czechia, in Slovakia, in Hungary. So how to coordinate more these, you know, units and troops to help people, yeah, and so on. So this one project is, let's say, future-oriented, and the idea itself is really good. But what I, maybe not me only, identified as a problem is a communication of politicians itself, because I think the pressure from this part is very necessary. Not only for reasons for funding, yeah, how many country will contribute to the fund itself, because there were also fear about the financial institutions like European Investment Bank and EBRD, that they have been missing, yeah. So some professionalism, yeah, some guarantee, etc. Visegrad fulfilled its own aim. What else? It's carrying on. Now this is something new, something I don't want to say similar, because we have, or it has a clear statement to build infrastructure, and mainly to build it from the north to the south, yeah, seaports, etc. This East Ring, Via Carpathia, for example. I don't want to be skeptical, but I must be. Just because this is, let's say, confronting not only with politician wish, or let's say initiative or pressure, but the practice itself. For example, Poland made its own decentralization but decentralization process really good. Yeah, this process of decentralization and how bureaucracy can be decreased, etc., etc. Yeah, so going bottom. In Slovakia, unfortunately, we have still problems, and we are facing, for example, problems with small villages that they are not able to, you know, economically because of demography. I'm returning back now that there was mentioned demography. I told it about the university position. But okay, Visegrad has some label, history, etc. This is something new. I think the most important will be communication towards people. Maybe I'm skeptical one, but if I could make now a research during next week with some methodology and to ask people in Slovakia how many you know about Primarium, or let's say Free Seas Initiative, probably 99% will tell me that what's going on. Yeah, so communication is missing. This must be not only in media, but also in political, let's say, focus. And you mentioned, and I will finish because I don't want to grab the time to myself. you mentioned fund, joint secretariat maybe. The proposal is that it should be somehow flexible, just to not concentrate it somewhere. It doesn't matter if Warsaw, if Bratislava, or geographically.
Russia.
Or Prešov, yeah. The horrible
Why
one.
not?
Maybe.
That's the best place.
So that's one point, and maybe there was mentioned when we had this meeting, private one. It would be appropriate to improve the official, for example, website of Free Seas Initiative itself. Yeah, I'm speaking the first one because when you open it, there are lack of information, let's say so. But also we should ensure professional, let's say, translation of documents into the national languages, for example. Yeah, you have done. Yeah, for example, about Schumann, these, papers or documents. And maybe this advertising. This is missing, for example, I think so. So make it somehow better, yeah, this communication to, or make a brand, advertising, better branding, advertising, because this is also connected not only to Free Seas Initiative, but it's somehow, let's say, paradiplomacy, yeah? When we are talking about cross-border cooperation, have to improve these cooperations between villages from both sides. Doesn't matter, Polish, Slovak, there were some projects, so this one, so forms of public diplomacy to message, yeah, to spread this information about Free Seas Initiative, and also be careful, or let's say avoid the situation of threat, because I think this is the key point, that who is the key player in Free Seas Initiative, that Poland, of 100%. Yeah, and this threat, not threat, but afraid, which or fear in not only politicians, but maybe in public, that it has some, let's say, political aspirations. Yeah, so this one, promoting branding, and finally, what you said, I think this is the project. Doesn't matter. First, second, about the synergy effect. Together we can make it better. Also, this is the same message and also the same history, or let's say the story, the same fairy tale, let's say so, of Visegrad Group. Together, we have been able, doesn't matter what was happened during Mečiar period, yeah, that we have slowed down and we need to, be faster then. But this fairy tale had, let's say, optimistic one end. What is standing in front of Free Seas Initiative? Let's say, make some, okay, we have some three pillars, let's say so, or other. What we will do if it will be fulfilled, and then bring together, yeah, so Schumann is a bridge, so don't focus or concentrate only on hard skill, but we need to make this soft skill, let's say so, to bring scientists to make projects which have idea, which have common sense, let's say, yeah, from different perspectives, because we are facing this problem, and I will really finish. What's going on the border, and it's connected to the border itself. Doesn't matter, yeah, Belarus, Ukraine. I mentioned it, and maybe it's skeptical, and maybe some will not agree with me, but I think that border will be somehow, it seems to happen, and we need to be prepared. Did we, or were we prepared some years ago when the gas consumption, or let's say gas problem how to say it, started digging? Yeah? We haven't been prepared. Now this diversification here, we are doing on that. But we need to be prepared for some, let's say, soft skill situations, because tensions. You mentioned also Balkan, yeah? Slovakia had, I think, was a key player in making solutions after the war. Minister Lajčák, yeah, just bringing people together to round table and make some solutions and keep it in, let's say, in good conditions. So I think that we are facing, for example, this migration. So, but what we will do with that? Yeah, because we are mixing. It's connected also to demography. Yeah, it's Christian values. Everything is very interconnected. But seems that these realistic problems which we are facing, infrastructure, employment, disparities regional, are still after 20 or 30 years of existence, for example, in Slovakia, are still there. I traveled now to Zamość, where we are with highway towards Poland. Nowhere. We are just preparing highway around Prešov, luckily. But what about Šarišský Štiavnik, the main and the most important road from the north, from Poland, crossing Slovakia, and we haven't infrastructure. We are slow because of bureaucracy, because of this decentralization wasn't yet good prepared, and so on and so on. So I think, and I don't want to be very skeptical, but I think that Slovakia should more be flexible in this, let's say, making solutions. Yeah, we still have gaps. Maybe Poland, Poland sure for now. You haven't, and you are progressing. Politicians have meeting, and they will say, okay, we are in hurry, and the second side will say that okay, we need to make more progress, but we are still, let's say, struggling and somewhere, and we need it. We really need it because, for example, in Prešov itself, who could say that 20 or 30 years, well, maybe there were some prognostic yet, but who could imagine that in every family maybe each member will have an own car, yeah? And now this is under pressure, everything. So not only lorries, yeah, but cars. So we have an infrastructure, and it makes some problems. Problems which are connected to corporations, which are connected to investments in these countries. So this is a very complex, let's say, picture. But I think that these two should be together. These two should be together. This, let's say, hard and soft, and they must have a synergy between together. Yeah, my opinion, and what I said, more promotion and also pressure from political level.
Okay, so thank you very much for what you have said, and you are absolutely right that the problem with that there is a lack of good communication related to the Free Seas initiative and, or generally speaking, to all inter-marine affairs. Yes, that's a huge problem, and Free Seas initiative unfortunately has failed in this matter. So you know, and you know who is guilty? Unfortunately, Polish government. You know, former Polish government. Unfortunately, maybe our right-wing politicians didn't understand correctly, you know, the role and the role of good communication in this matter, and that's why you know, we decided to have our own NGOs, you know, to fill that gap, to do something with that problem. And one of our goals is to promote the vision of more integrated and more collaborated Central Europe, you know, because we see such needs, you know, to say about it, to talk about it, and so on and so on. Not only in Poland, of course.
Sorry, just two sentences, because you mentioned NGOs. What is the situation, maybe you know, maybe not, in Slovakia, maybe in other countries, maybe in Europe also, I don't know. Our government now, and I don't want to be rude or offensive against them, but this is a very strong language against NGOs, because support of Soros, etc., national-oriented, let's say, language, you know, in front of media, nationalist one, yeah, protectionist one, so very, very, let's say, oriented against not NGOs together, but which NGO, what are they concentrated on, which projects, so maybe this will be also another point, skeptical. Now, these are our conditions now. So, reduce amount of money to NGOs, doesn't matter which one, yeah. So I need to express my skeptical, let's say, point of view, yeah, towards situation which are we are now facing.
Okay, I see. So for sure we'll continue our talk, and I know that Professor Grosset is going to add something.
Thank you very much for highly important and interesting discussion. I would like add or sum up our panel to some extent. My first, I would like to say two things at the end of that panel, if I can. The first one, I repeat my first remark related to very deep political polarization inside each of our countries. So it is a huge challenge for us how to be waterproof for that kind of political polarization which could diminish our regional collaboration. So I can see today a highly important framework of our participants in that conference. But basically, we are rather conservative or Christian Democrats than left or liberal participants. So, and it is difficult for me to see, to observe that left-wing or liberal circles could create similar patterns to ours conference, to our today's conference. So it is a huge challenge how to organize our civic societies which could support institutions important for regional cooperation, which could survive political change in some member states, governmental shift. So it is first remark. The second one, I would like to agree with Professor Krysiak in two aspects. The first one, that we should be open for non-member countries, I mean from outside the EU. And it is first, and at the same time, Schuman example for European collaboration, or the starting point of Schuman thinking about European collaboration was reconciliation between French and German. So two important, highly important countries for Western European integration. It is quite obvious for me that the same importance for collaboration in our region as reconciliation between Poland and Ukraine. So there are two crucial states from the point of view of geopolitics to be some motor, some engine for further collaboration in our region. And it is not unexpected outcome that Western European integration started between France and Germany, and not, for instance, between Luxembourg and Belgium. It is quite obvious from geopolitical point of view. If we want to deepen collaboration in eastern part of the EU, or Middle and Eastern Europe. Two most important countries should collaborate. It is Poland and Ukraine. It is, in my view, both agreement what Professor Krysiak has said. The first one, that we should be open for outsiders. The second, Schuman is our patron. And Schuman, if Schuman would like to be successful in our region, he should look for reconciliation between Polish and Ukrainians.
So just you listed three key words: reconciliation, support, cooperation. So this reconciliation basically applies to many sides on Balkans as well. So reconciliation, support, cooperation. So the Schuman Cremarium Forum organization would like to be supportive organization. So, I mean, the adequate and the equivalent way Schuman expressed that what you said, Professor, interesting idea what you said. Schuman expressed in the following way: unity, unite, solidarity, and peace. So this seems to be applicable today as well.
Okay, so thank you very much, and I think we have to finish our panel, and I'm fully convinced that Professor Krysiak has made a great summary of our vision, of our concept, of our thought for our region. So we'll keep you posted about our initiative, and I hope we stay in touch. Thank you.